So anyhow, I'm going to catch up on everything that I've followed up on today. So I called Reed Shostrom at Prairie Street Brewing Company today just to verify what was going on with Melt Fest. And as everybody knows, that was originally set for March 21st, but with the proclamation closing down the businesses, that went by the wayside. They aren't at this time canceling the event. They're postponing it, and he does not have a date. They're like everybody else. They're waiting for guidelines to be set by the governor for when we start to reopen and the different businesses reopen. Recently, they've been talking about eliminating or at least greatly reducing the festivals and concerts and those kinds of things. So until that really comes out and that gets set, he's going to have a hard time getting something set up. But he wants to get it done one way or another. So he said if it had to be in December to have Melt Fest, we'd have Melt Fest in December. So anyway, if anybody's got any ideas for Reed on how he might handle his event, if they reduced it down to, saying maybe only 50 people could be at an event at one time, and he wants to get a couple hundred people through. If you have an idea that somehow somebody might be able to pull some event like that off, you might give Reed a call and let him know what your idea is. Let's see what else. Today, they released Ben Barr's Brewer of the Year collaboration with Prairie Street, and they called it Bald Benny. It's a 6.5 ABV black IPA, and they are going, instead of bottling like they had initially intended to with all the hubbub that went on with the virus and the shutdown, they decided to keg it. And so if you go by Prairie Street today, up till 8 p.m., they're selling it in growlers, crowlers, and their 50 milliliter bottles. So if you want to get out there and you want to try Ben's collaboration beer, they thought they'd probably last at least a couple days. They have a whole barrel of it. They gave Ben a 6 barrel, so if Ben doesn't drink it too fast, maybe we'll get a shot at that someday down the road. But they are having a deal there where they're letting you mix and match any 3 crowlers or 500 milliliter bottles, 3 for $21, and that excludes their 90-pound hammer. But you could get Ben's beer and a couple other ones that they've got by swinging by, and they're open Wednesday through Sunday from 11 to 8. So if anybody's interested in getting down and trying Ben Barr's collaboration beer, that'd be a good way to do it. I also spoke to Jamie Funk today at the Shooter's Tap Room, and of course we had Beer Bash. Our first attempt at doing Beer Bash was going to be on May 1st, and of course that's been postponed, and we're waiting for information from the governor's office on that one as well. He's got some dates in mind, not specific date. He's thinking of doing, his first date would be in July, sometime after the 4th. And then he's also thinking about September 4th and October 3rd. So those are possible dates. I think the September date and the October date are after the current governor. I think he had things kind of limited, or at least they were planning on limiting things through August. So it may end up being in September, maybe even the week before, the Friday, the week before Screw City Beer Fest. I also touched base with Jamie about Bassett training. He said as soon as they opened up the bars and restaurants again and they had their very first Bassett training scheduled, they'd start getting us in there. So he hasn't forgotten us. He's still real excited about having us involved with them. But it's just going to take a little time for the bars to get open and then for them to start getting their people trained. And so as soon as that training comes available, we'll start getting people in. We've got our list of people before, and of course we'll try to get them scheduled. And then if anybody else new comes along, wants to get involved, we can do them as well. Let's see, what else did he have? Oh, and just a little plug for shooters. They're going to be open again on Saturday from 1 to 4, and they'll have their mix and match sale of their craft beers. So if you want to go and take a look at their Facebook page, probably on Friday, they're going to have all their different craft beers that they've got and match those up. They're going to have, I think, the $9 growlers and what else? Oh, he said he's got a bunch of stuff that's what he said, close code cans. So they're not technically past their expiration date. So he thought he had a bunch of those and he was going to sell those for as little as $1 a can. So it might be interesting to see what he's got available. He also said that the Drago beers that we were talking about back when we were doing the Tasters Guild, the Dragos, as soon as the bars and restaurants get back open, he's supposed to be getting those in as well. So he was hoping to have some kind of a launch or something for that coming up as soon as they open up the bars. Anybody got any questions about those items?
Oasis hat was doing the same thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, pay attention to those pages, and fortunately, we got a lot of guys that share that stuff to the Facebook page, and so yeah, keep an eye on those. And as soon as one of us knows about it, those kinds of things, we ought to share it because we need to support the people that have been supporting us. I did a little review of what's going on with Big Brew. You know, we had planned on going down to Harry Cow, but you know that's on May 1st, and that's just not going to happen. So, Jerry's put together the recipe for the beer. We picked up the base grains for that. And the brewing system we're going to use is Tim Lundquist's big 5-gallon kettles and drums kettles. And we're going to use Russ's 22-gallon mash tun. Between the two of them, we're hoping to get enough wort put together so that we can eventually fill a 30-gallon barrel. I've been in contact with the spirits, and hopefully we're going to be able to get at least one 25 or 30-gallon barrel from them, or a couple of 15s. Just waiting to see what their production schedule is, and hopefully it's going to work out for us. If not, I've got a line on another place where we might get a barrel. So Big Brew's not happening, at least as a big group at this point. The plan for now, since we're not going to be doing it at Harry's house, is we're going to end up doing it at Russ's house. And figuring that since it's Tim's equipment, we'll have Tim and Russ, and I live a couple miles away, so we'll do our best to keep our social distance and keep our group under 10, and hopefully being the people as brewers that are good with sanitation, we won't have any issues. On the AHA website, they're changing Big Brew to Virtual Big Brew. So Ron Deary shared the link to AHA's Virtual Big Brew page to the Facebook, Forest City Brewers Facebook page yesterday. And the official Big Brew recipe for that is the Pangea Proxima Polar IPA. And if you actually go on there and you pledge to brew, they'll give you $5 off your membership to the American Homebrewers Association. So that is the update on the Big Brew. And of course, we're going to have the international toast for Big Brew Day is May 2nd at 12 Central Standard Time. So everybody needs to make sure they get their beer and give a toast for that. Also, I spoke to Chris Wakowiak about our Brews on First. We were all lined up for that on May 9th, and of course that's been postponed as well. He wants it to happen. He's hoping later on in the summer. Hopefully they'll get their baseball back going and that kind of thing, and we'll work something out. So as soon as he gets some guidance from the state, we'll be getting a date for that. As far as Screw City Beer Fest goes, it's still a go, as scheduled, as planned. The only thing that the holdup is there is I think they're delaying the ticket sales a little bit until they see how things pan out, because I'm sure they don't want to sell a bunch of tickets and then have to turn around and refund them. So I think he said that they were looking at sometime in July to do their ticket sales, but they were going to kind of wait things out and see what was going on as far as, you know, whether they were going to have these events or try to limit them after August. So it's still going, but we're just waiting to see what's going to happen with the ticket sales. So I told everybody, whether it was Reed or Jamie or Chris, that, you know, we're not stopping brewing beer, and if their events happen, I'm sure that we'd show up and have a presence at all their events. So I didn't think there'd be any problem with making that kind of commitment, because I know the brewers that are out there in this group, I don't think the shutdown really down any brewing. I've seen plenty of folks brewing. So does anybody have any issues with getting supplies for brewing? Yeah,
Todd, this is David Benson. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm noticing on this Zoom thing, if you make a noise, it seems like the person that made the noise, their picture comes up in the big screen.
Okay.
Am I correct?
It does if you have it set up to do that, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I think
mine is set up so that I see everybody.
right. So if somebody makes a noise, if they just bang on something, their picture comes up in the screen. Just, you know, because I'm tech savvy, you know, I feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the top right corner of your screen, you should see a speaker view or a gallery view.
Looks like 9 or 12 dots up there.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Click gallery view, and it'll pop up everybody's screen at once.
Oh, big.
Also, in the bottom left-hand corner, if anybody is not talking, please hit the mute button so that we don't hear that background noise while someone else is talking.
You're really tech savvy.
I would think so.
You make it happen.
The podcaster.
Now I got all the squares.
Block an image, keep manga in there.
So I've seen that Mike Bone has done some brewing, and I know you've done some brewing as well, haven't you, Ryan? I'll see now everybody's
Crickets.
muted. Yeah.
Well, I got some brewing in this last Sunday, even though we couldn't get together with the family and stuff. So I got the fermenter going, whatever, and it's doing real well.
Anybody having any trouble getting supplies?
So far, I haven't.
Has anybody been down to 815 since they picked up their bulk grain? Did you make it down to Prairie Street? Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to try to swing by tonight to get that. Oh, okay. Did you get your first brew in down there in Florida?
Yeah, like I say, waiting on supplies. I
just ordered stuff online, but they're not getting it any too quick. I know that. But finally got both vehicles in the garage last night, so that's a plus.
Well, like I say, I would think that, you know, there's enough of us in this crew that if somebody was running short or was looking for some dark grains or base grains or something that they couldn't find, they could put up a post on the Facebook page looking for it, and I'm sure somebody in the group could find it for them. I know I've got a number of dry yeast and so forth that, you know, if somebody was needing it, we certainly could help out. So Jerry?
Yeah,
Where'd you
Todd,
go? You ready to go with your presentation?
let's talk about yeast since we're talking about it. So first of all, behind me here, I had to clear off. This is where I have my electric brewing pots, whatever, my hot liquor tank, my brew pot, and my mash tun sits on the other side over here. And I had to clear it off so I could put all this glassware on here so we can kind of talk about it. But anyhow, I just want to hope that everybody's well out there. And thanks for everybody for signing in. As some are saying that there may be a yeast shortage coming up later this year. So I wanted to talk about harvesting your yeast after fermentation. I'm going to break it down into the type of fermenters. One of the fermenters would be like a flat bottom carboy, and the other one would be the conical tapered cone bottom fermenters. I got a big old carboy behind me. I don't know if you guys can see that, but carboy that I've used in the past. I'm going to start off talking about the flat bottom carboys, and the typical procedure for that would be to start your fermentation in a primary fermenter. When the primary fermenter is done working, racking it off or transferring your beer into a sanitized second fermenter. I do want to make note here that when you fill your secondary carboy, fill it with CO2 first before you do the transfer. The beer, at that particular point, you actually have beer, and beer doesn't like oxygen or air. So fill it with CO2. You won't get a flat beer or a skunky beer, but you get a flavor of stale beer. So going back to the primary fermenter, should have a yeast cake coating the bottom. That is what you want to be able to save. Hopefully you have a layer of beer on the top of your yeast. That's good. If not, reverse osmosis water or distilled water will help. Make sure that you have taken the water and boil it first to get rid of all the germs, bacteria, and fungi before you actually add it to your yeast. So you got your primary fermenter here that's empty and just has yeast in it. Swirl it around. That will break up the yeast in the tube in the bottom of the fermenter, and then pour that into a sanitary cylinder. I got a nice example one here. This cylinder here, you can fill it up. It has graduations on it. The nice thing about this one, it has a nice little pour spout on there so that when it separates, you can pour it in there. So pour it into a sanitary cylinder like this. Let your tube and your yeast settle down to the bottom of the cylinder, and you may find 3 or 4 layers. The bottom layer will be your tube. You don't want that. Your creamy yeast layer, you do want that. You might get some foam, and then of course there will be a liquid at the top that you can pour off if you want. So some yeast will settle faster than others. Some are thinner than others. Some of the thinner yeast, you may have to wait a couple minutes to before it actually settles out. Otherwise, some of the thicker yeast, you want to be able to pour it off right away so that it doesn't pull the tube along with the yeast as it as you're filling your storage containers. I got a question here that I got to answer here. There. Okay, so anyhow, when you have your yeast and your tube in there, you want to put it. These are these are White Labs, old vials. I've saved off a bunch of these when brewed years ago. They still sell some yeast in these containers, and so I kept them. Whatever, it comes in handy. When I first started saving some of the yeast, some of the nice containers is this is a salsa jar. Works out really good, nice and clean. It's glass, got a nice lid on it. You could have several of these and then fill them with your yeast. Close the lid, but don't close the lid tight because it still may breathe. Because you haven't washed your yeast, all you're doing is harvesting your yeast, and so there's still some residual sugars in there that will still want it to ferment and expand. That you got to watch out for. So. Some of the things that I got some notes here on is that let me talk about some of the conical fermenters with taper bobs and cones. Those are really nice because it's actually takes out a few of these steps out of there, and all you got to do is take the yeast that you've collected out of the bottom and also go right to the separators and start separating the trube, the yeast, and the liquid right away. The one catch that you might have got to remember is that the first dumpings on the bottom of your fermenter, you may not want it. It may be all true, and it might be the second dumpings that you'll get your nice creamy yeast out of it. So just take note of that. So. I wanted to show you a couple of these separator cones. I already showed you the nice cylinder here that works out really well. But if you're on a budget or you just want to, this is my first one. If you're, all it is, it's a flour base. And I put some markings on the side. Some of you guys might have already seen this because I've used this in other presentations. But works out really good. You get some trube here at the bottom, and you get your creamy yeast in here, and then you get your liquid on the top. The one bad thing about this was that I had to pour it into all my storage containers. I poured it, and you pour it back, the yeast will start to drip down the side. So you got to kind of work kind of fast, filling up all your containers. So it makes a little bit of a mess, but it worked. Worked real well. I know this might be kind of hard to see, but a couple of years ago, I actually bought a, let me see if I can bring it up front here. This is a separator cone. Works really well. Has a nice valve right here. You fill this up with your trube, your yeast and everything. So you get your trube at the bottom, your yeast at the top, your liquid, and you got a nice little valve right here. You dump the trube, you put a glass here, get rid of that, and then you can start filling all your storage containers.
You didn't have any problem with that little pipette there clogging, did you?
When you first get it, you will have to, that valve in there is pretty small, and it's made for liquids. And so timing is a pretty good thing, is don't let it sit in there too long. It will clog it. And also you have the ability to drill out that plastic piece so it's a little bigger hole. And if you buy one of these, there's some really cheap ones and small ones. I bought the big one because I've learned that from other people that the small ones you just fill right up and you're just refilling it, and it's too much of a hassle. And you want to keep it simple. And the other thing is that some of them have a steel spring in there, and then when you go to wash it, guess what? It rusts. So this one here has it's glass, it's plastic, and an O-ring, and it has a plastic nut that keeps it all together, and then comes all apart and you can clean it real well. Your storage containers. I had already mentioned my salsa jar, and the White Labs has, and I'm looking at Todd's jar, and I was just going to bring that up. An actual canning jar, and there's a lot in there. You know what the bad thing about this is? You don't need all this yeast for one. And so you're always dipping into this, and by the time you get to the bottom of it, might be contaminating it. So you got to be really careful. Where you're just using one of these, and you're on your way. The other thing is that you don't have time to do all the separation. You do want to do a transfer, but you want to save your yeast. That's where a nice gallon jug is. Put it all in there, put the cap on, not tight, put the cap on, put it in the refrigerator, come back to it later, and then do the separations. But yeah, these gallon jugs work out really great. Another thing that on your storage things, you gotta put a label on it. Have 5 things on that label. The first thing you want to put on the label is put what yeast is in there. Is it a London ale? Is it a American ale? Is it a German lager? Is it whatever it is? Label it. The second thing is to put the date that you actually put the yeast in your container. So put the date on it. The other thing that you want to build, you might have reused this yeast already 2 or 3 times. Label it that way. It says, okay, this yeast has already been used 3 times since the purchase of the original yeast. So put the number of times that you put on there. The fourth thing that you want to put on there is tell yourself, what did you think about that yeast? Was it good? Was it okay? Or maybe not so good, but you kept it anyhow for a backup, So grade your yeast. Give it a grade. And the last thing that you put on these labels is put down the type of beer that it came from. So did it come from a stout? Did it come from an IPA? And the reason why you want to know that is that when you go to use this, you don't want to take one from a stout and make a cream ale or a blonde or a Belgian light or something out of it. You're going to have some carryover from that flavor into those lighter beers. So some of those heavier beers, you want to know where the yeast actually came from.
Hey, Jerry, just so everybody knows, these things get timed out at 40 minutes. I don't know whether they're going to actually
I'll keep going. I'm coming to the end here.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we might get cut off. So if we do,
4 minutes maybe.
maybe we'll see.
Okay, so anyhow, never freeze your yeast. That's not a very good thing to do. And I always highly recommend making a yeast starter. And there's 4 main reasons that I tell you to make a yeast starter. First of all, when I make a yeast starter, I use this flask. And you want to make sure that you have vial live yeast. I can tell you just what had happened not too long ago here. This year, I was in Milwaukee and bought some yeast, brought it home to use it. I started a yeast starter, whatever. The next day, it showed it was dead. It was nothing. So I quick had to run out and buy some yeast so I can brew the next day. That's one of the things. Make sure you have vial live yeast. The other one is that when you wake up the yeast and it's already starting to grow, you'll have a fast start ferment. And you want to do that. You don't want your wort to sit in there too long, over 24 hours, before it actually starts to ferment. Also, why not multiply it a little bit? You might have 200 billion cells in there, but why not let it grow a little bit? Make a big yeast starter. And the last one is that it's nice to get it up to temperature so that the yeast doesn't have to change temperature to get it up. You don't want to take it right from the refrigerator right in there. It's going to be a slow start. The other thing is that get the data sheet from the manufacturer from the yeast, and you have this information. This one here is Y yeast. This one is a London ale. It has the fluctuation grade, attenuation, the temperature range that it's good for, and also what the alcohol tolerant is. This one here that I have is from White Labs. This sheet has all the information on both sides of all the different yeasts that they make, and it has all that information. That's what you need to know. So I hope this helped out with you guys. Stay well, but thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jerry. Quick question for you. Is it bad if I put all that in my 5-gallon batch? I'd take off the clear.
5-gallon batch, yeah, I would say so, but you'd want to make a yeast starter of it.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, I noticed how dark it is. I noticed you didn't wash it. That's a whole nother presentation of washing your yeast.
Actually,
So-
I did wash this. This is just the wort that it's cleared down from. So the bottom part is the only part that's the yeast.
Yeah.
That's actually, this is the yeast. This is the water that I use to wash it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked kind of dark there.
Yeah. Cameras.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought this went really well, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that, because like I said, I saw that Omega was
There's
closed
another one
down.
I see from Dave Benton's got his up there.
Oh yeah. So mine is
Dave,
from.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I gotta unmute
You
him.
gotta unmute your.
There you go,
self
Dave.
there, David.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Mine looks clearer. What do I do with this?
The clear stuff's no good. The stuff at the bottom is really good.
Put it in a yeast starter and use it.
Drink it.
Oh, it's big.
Can I use it for bread?
Huh.
Why?
Hey, Ben, welcome to the party. Need to get your mic muted there. Can't
He's
hear you.
muted.
Yeah, I can't hear him. He's not muted anymore, but something's up with his speaker or his microphone.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah. I wanted to congratulate him on the release of his beer today over at Prairie Street. Everybody make sure they get down and get some, because I'm guessing.
Yeah, I picked up some. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Who got it?
I got some.
Oh, excellent.
Now, I want to say that Scott Walker was involved in this, and he wrote everything on this. I think this is painter. Everything you're supposed to do. See it? Generation, date, and the beer, a saison.
Yeah.
Dig it? I dig it.
Very good.
So how did it turn out?
Oh, it was huge.
All right, put it on the label. You want to
Huge,
keep that one.
bigly. That's big.
So I was looking at the dates. The actual May meeting is, I think it's May 6th. It's 3 weeks away. Why don't we get together 3 weeks from tonight and revisit this? I thought we got to share quite a bit of information, and hopefully we'll have a little better idea what's going to be happening with the reopening of the state. Maybe we'll have a better opportunity, maybe in June, actually having a meeting.
What about May?
Yeah, I don't think May's going to happen.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, May's only 3 weeks away. They've already got us closed through the through the end of April. I just don't see that it'll be to a point where we'll want to get together and handle the same pictures and share our beer like we normally would until maybe June. And like I said, over the next 2 weeks, it'll probably help us, or at least it'll give us an idea what we could do and when we could do it.
Here's another thing that I wanted everybody to kind of know, excuse me, is that we'll have some hand sanitizer wipes that are beyond the beer tables, so that after it's all over with, we could still, if you want to wipe your hands off, wipe your glass off, wipe the handle off, we're going to have some sanitizer wipes there for you. So, you know, we've learned a little bit, so we're going to make sure that we all stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, sanitation is not really a question for this group. Like I said, anybody who brews decent beer has got to be good at sanitation. But like I said, it's just going to be a matter of what the governor finally allows us to do and when he allows us to do it. And we probably won't know that for another week or two. You guys think we ought to try this again, say on the 6th then?
I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yes.
Kent and Ben were kind of late to the party. You guys
Yeah.
got anything you want to share with the group?
No, maybe we could do a online party or something. A Zoom party.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm
got
like
the-
that.
Now let's see who's calling in here.
There might be an echo because my speaker on my laptop is not working. So I have to go through my phone.
Okay.
So I apologize for the echo to everybody if you're hearing an echo.
More like
Talk
Reno.
about the echo. My presentation, did the sound come over pretty good?
Yeah, it was good, Jerry. It was one of your best presentations. It was very good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're better on the phone than you are in person.
it's because he's comfortable. He's in his own laboratory. He looks like the mad scientist there.
Yeah.
Eisenberg.
Yeah, I tell you, being having spring fever and everything, it's making me a little mad.
I'm telling you. Oh, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I did go over to Harry Cow a couple of weeks ago and I picked up their can seamer that they donated to the club. We ended up getting about 900 empty cans and lids, and then the can seamer. And I tried it out on a couple of cans. The first one was a fail, and that was on me. I didn't know what I was doing. The
How
second
many?
one went
How many
fine.
cans?
About 900.
And Wunder.
Yeah. So then Scott got it, and Scott used it, and he said he had pretty good luck. So they're all 16.9 ounce cans or whatever. And I'm planning on, I just picked it up from Scott today. I'm planning on canning up a dozen cans or so. So if anybody's interested down the road, they got something, some big beer or something they want to put in a can. Maybe the guy wants to can his a little bit of his 6 barrel of black IPA. Ben, just let me know, and we can get it to you so you can save enough for us to have at the next meeting. We can actually be together.
I said I might have to do that because I'm getting a keg of it.
That's what Reed said. You're getting a 6 barrel, so
Yeah. So I dropped mine off tonight, and then I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow. So I'll have curbside pickup at my house if you guys want to stop by.
nice. All right. So, Joe, you want to tell us about your new home or what? We see you're in the laundry. You couldn't score a better spot than that?
At least I'm not doing laundry. A little different ball game because it's like I'm starting to figure out, I got geckos crawling around my broom stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So I got, one was in my laundry tub in the garage. But I mean, the groundwater temperature is probably like about 60 degrees, so that's not going to cool beer down very well. So, but it's a couple different things, but I'm just looking at all the yeast that can go at 90 degrees right now. So a lot of omega stuff and a few other things. But if I can get another little cooler out in the garage, like a little small one to ferment with and stuff, then we'll be in good shape.
At Voskavik, that's Russ was doing New England IPAs with that at like 105 degrees, so you should be good there.
Yeah, you can just let it rip. I use there's a hothead one that I like, and then they have a new one out that's supposed to be it's a IPA yeast that they came out with. It's supposed to attenuate very well, and it's something good for a brood or something like that. But mostly it's just like, you know, if I throw it out in the garage, it's going to be roughly about 85 every day. So right now, anyways. So it's a little bit different. I got play a little bit with the water and get that situated. But oh well, if I can get my stuff, maybe I plan on brewing by next week.
What about infections?
They don't have those here in Florida.
Infection.
About infections.
That only happens over there on the other side of Mulford. You know, little small little bag brews, you know.
Here we go with the shit.
Little tea bag brews. That was one.
No, I got it big now. I got the big one now. Don't bring it.
Oh
down.
yeah, what do you have to 2.5 gallons?
I'll send some pictures. Okay.
Oh shoot.
So it's like haven't done much with any kind of the brew club guys around here and stuff, but you know, everything's shut down. There's nothing going on really. So it's like anything that's been around, you know, pretty quiet around here.
Did you get any feedback?
Drive your golf cart anywhere then, huh?
Oh, I can try that. There's places for that. So you gotta take the golf cart to go get the mail every day. There's not mailboxes. There's a central mailbox location for like 1,000 mailboxes. So they're not slowing down around here. They must think it's going to continue because they're building houses 7 days or 6 days a week right now. So they must expect it to come back. So how long have we been going? I thought this thing shut down after 40 minutes. It probably.
I think they've been a little liberal with it ever since this pandemic hit. And so a lot of times they're letting people run by or run on just out of their, I think they're trying to make up for some of the security issues they were having.
Yeah.
So between that and the pandemic and people using it left and right to try to stay in contact with their friends and their families and their beer club.
Yeah, well, it works really well for it. I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to do this, you know, if you don't have any other choice.
Right. So you got a captive audience there, Spence. You want to plug your podcast?
What's that?
You want to plug your podcast, Spencer?
Oh,
yeah.
Brent? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know about Kent's and Brent's homebrew rock stars. Actually, we're trying to do a collab with them at some point.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, neither have I, or something like that. I actually run a beer podcast aside from the homebrews. I don't actually talk about homebrew beer in this one. It's mainly having to do with breweries and rating random beers. But we've broadened our view on this one a little bit because of, you know, with everything going on, and homebrew people are actually being highlighted a little more, so to say. But the podcast is called Screw City Hopheads, and we just finished our 10th episode, and we're moving on to our 11th here coming up this weekend. But to plug another thing on top of that podcast is I'm actually doing a virtual happy hour tomorrow at 5:30 on Zoom as well. And we'll just bring your beer, and bring anything you want to talk about, and I'll ask some questions, and then we might play. I picked up a game today which will get you a little bit buzzed, hopefully not overkill, but it's called Buzzed. It pretty much tells you what you're supposed to do to drink, which I think might be a little fun to get people involved. But it's a main way to connect with everything going on, and nobody wants to get the COVID. So, but yeah, that's at 5:30 tomorrow. If you're interested, you can find the event on my Facebook page. I can also put it down into the chat area down below. But if you have any questions, just go ahead and shout them out.
So if I want to partake in your virtual happy hour, what do I need to do as a computer non-savvy guy?
Pretty much what
I'm
you're doing. Pretty much the same thing you're doing here. You can actually, so Zoom is also an app on your phones. It doesn't matter if you have Android or iPhone, you can download the app on your phone, meaning you don't have to sit on your computer. It's all the same thing on your phone. So if you're not willing to get to the PC or whatever, you can use your phone. On the computer, all the information is in the event. So you could just find that, click the link, and it'll shoot you to Zoom itself. And then you just type in the password and you're on.
All right, cool.
Hey, Spencer,
Yes, sir.
does everybody notice how much better his sound quality is with a $1,000 microphone and a pop screen?
Just keep on rubbing that one in there.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, you can hear the difference. No doubt.
Well, see, I can't hear myself, so I have no idea.
Now you have headphones on. You bring it down.
No, and you guys are more than welcome to join. If you guys want to be part of the podcast, just let me know. I mean, just send me a Facebook message, or send my page a Facebook message. I mean, either way, I'm going to get it, and we'll fit you into it. I usually like to have a little fun, and it's a little explicit. I don't care what we talk about, and I ask some pretty raunchy or stupid questions sometimes. So. One of my favorite questions always to ask is, what's your favorite beer story, or your drunk story? And some of them have gotten a little out of hand, but that's the benefit, and it's a lot of fun to hear what they have to say and how they're like what they've done before.
Do you have an idea how many people you think will tune in?
Right now, I'm seeing that about 16 or 17 people are interested. I've posted a lot and a shit ton of Facebook groups, including the Forest City Brewers, which actually I should have said that the event has been posted on there. I mean, if it's a small turnout, it's a small turnout. It's not a big deal. I think either way, we're going to have fun, and I can have, I pay for the subscription-based service for Zoom. So, because I've used Zoom previous to this pandemic. So it's a lot of fun to sit down with a lot of people or very minimal people and drink.
I'll tell you, I was a little concerned after hearing some of the issues that Zoom was having with security. So I'm glad everybody was able to join us tonight. Hopefully we won't have any issues. I know they've been working hard to try to address those kinds of things. So I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants tonight and hoping that we don't see any issues as a result. I figured if somebody hacked in and wanted to show us their ass, that wouldn't be a surprise. So
That's half the club.
yeah,
Especially that Benson guy.
Yeah.
Got a wide feet of one from Florida right now.
we lost our lone lady. Really?
Why would you want to look at this group?
What? I sent her to fetch me a beer and a power cord. That's my computer died. But I have a beer.
All right. Well,
So,
thanks, God. And good to see everybody. I'm gonna get out of here. Get ready for bed.
All right, see you, Mike.
Yeah.
Take care.
Like,
See ya.
Nobody
Yeah.
said a damn word from.
Bye, Joe. So I was gonna skip out too. Time for supper.
All right, guys. Let's do this 7 o'clock on the first Wednesday in May. And hopefully the news will be a lot better.
Yeah.
See
All
everybody.
right.
Take care.
Fingers
Bye now.
crossed.
thank you.
See you guys.
Easy.